the scientific side of my job, which is about investigating the materials and techniques of the artist. There is the art historical, the ethical, the aesthetic side of my job. So this is my Tate conservation studio, relocated to Beirut. I came out in July to establish which objects in Choucair's own collection were suitable to travel safely to London for the exhibition. I isolated 7 paintings which were exhibiting signs of instability. Most apartments, like the one we're in now, are air-conditioned, but from 9 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock in the afternoon, every day there is an electrical curfew where all the air conditioning gets switched off. The temperature climbs very rapidly, the relative humidity climbs very rapidly or drops very rapidly depending on the amount of moisture in the air if it's been raining that day, and the paintings go into shock. And as a consequence, many of Choucair's paintings have exhibited cracking and loose paint. The painting I'm working on at the moment is entitled Composition. It was made in 1951. The process involves applying a small amount of an adhesive. I'm not introducing anything foreign. I'm keeping everything very consistent. And all my materials are very kindly. They react kindly to the object. I'm using this machine here called a heated spatula, heated to 50 degrees centigrade. A 50 or 60-year-old oil paint will not melt below 70 degrees centigrade. Not all the time, but more often than not. Here we are in the laboratory at Tate, Britain. Here in the studio, we would be carrying out complete conservation and restoration treatments. In exhibition conservation, our brief is different. It is to stabilise an object to ensure that there is no physical change to the object during the extent of the exhibition. Our brief is not to restore the objects, purely to conserve them. So we're not in any way encroaching on the aesthetic of the object as such, merely dealing with the physical needs of the object. In normal circumstances, if you're working in an artist's apartment and the artist is present, you would always try and engage them in conversation about how they make their objects, what do they find, what's important to them. And it was sad and in some ways disappointing that I wasn't able to engage with Saloua because she was so infirm. But I also found her daughter Hala to be an extraordinary resource for information of that kind. Choucair was trained in Paris. She had a classical painting training and she knew how to use her materials. An artist using an oil paint, a classic oil paint construction, they expect their work to last. That's why they've made it and not made it with something more ephemeral. Ephemerality is usually fairly intentional. If we're talking 50 years, which is the kind of temporal cut-off point generally, an oil paint is going to live way beyond that.